There we go. Right. Good morning. Thanks to everyone for signing up for the February legislation webinar with me. Chris, I'm from ERE Letting, so really glad that you're able to sign up and join me today. So on today's thing, the agenda is going to be a bit of an introduction, a little bit about myself, who I am and what my role is here at ERE Lettings. And then we'll roll right into the update for the legislation side of things. So it's important for us to discuss why we want our landlords and landlords in general to keep up to date with it, and discussing the important dates that are upcoming in 2022 so you can be ahead of the curve. Towards the end, we haven't really got a Q&A session for this one just because there's so much information already tied in. However, if there is any questions that you do want to ask, there is an opportunity for you to put them in, or send me an email or give me a call, whatever works best for you. And I'll look forward to speaking to you all individually right after this. So let's start straight to the introduction about me, a little bit about me. First, I should say as well, hope everyone's doing well with the weather. It's not been the best recently. So I hope that everyone is safe. But straight to me. So yeah, my name's Chris, the business development manager here at ERE. I've been here for just over a year now, really enjoying working with the team. And we are, as a company, pushing to grow and assist landlords nationwide. Been doing lettings, specifically business development within lettings for the last 6 years now, working with landlords, whether that be overseas or more local, finding them properties that they want to have, assisting them with getting the restorations done, and then finding them the ideal tenants. I'm a big believer in matching the right tenant to the right landlord is how we keep people happy. And then experience, like I say, in property sourcing. So ERE, we do sell off-plan investments and great developments all around the UK. But I also assist landlords that come to me and say, Chris, I found this property here. What do you think it could achieve me in rent-wise? What sort of prices am I looking at to get it done with works? I'll assist them with that whole sort of spiel. And then the webinars, the videos, they're all there. It's 360 for the landlords, so that they know they've got someone on their side who's always with them each step of the way, keeping them up to date, making sure they are compliant and safe at all times. So that's what we provide, and that's what I do individually here at ERE. We are continually building that team, and hopefully we can grow even better this year. So that takes us straight into the legislation update. As you'll well know, if you're all landlords that have joined, or maybe you are wanting to be landlords in the future, the legislation with lettings can be a bit of a minefield. But if you've got people that know what they're looking for, or people that can assist you with that, then that makes it a lot easier. There's a lot of things that have changed over the last few years. Again, COVID's thrown delays in certain areas and certain aspects, but there are things now that we can put pointers out for you well ahead of time and start thinking about how we can make that easier, save money, keep things moving a bit smoother. So we'll roll right into the first one, which is the Renters Reform Bill. Now, this is it's an extremely important piece of legislation. It has been around for a very, very long time. The changes that were supposed to be actioned or supposed to be brought in to be discussed were supposed to have been talked about last year. Again, COVID, spanner in the works. No one could see that coming, and it ended up being pushed back. So we are thinking that it's gathering pace now. And in 2022, I fully believe that is when they are going to be looking into getting all of these done. Now, the three main aspects of the bill are the end of no-fault evictions. So landlords being able to serve Section 21s and gain possession that way. They are looking at putting a stop in that and being able for landlords, if they do want to gain possession, it is going to have to be through court or special tribunals. So that's something that I'm keeping a very close eye on. Again, very important. A lot of different reasons that landlords want to gain possession back to their apartments or their properties in general. So it's important that we keep on top of that. Transferable deposits. This one's more for the tenants, I suppose, but important that landlords do keep up to date with it. So what they're proposing is that instead of deposit paid by the tenant, and then once they leave, checkout is conducted, deposit is returned, then they've got to sort of save it or hold on to it for the next unit. What they are suggesting is once a deposit has been paid, that is then transferable between tenancies. So tenant moves from A to B, that deposit is just switched over and there is no sort of hand back. So it's there, I guess, as a saving money exercise or to be able to help tenants with that move, which in turn does mean positives for the landlords. It should mean that tenants might be able to move even quicker. They're not having to wait to get an additional 5 weeks worth of rent in their back pocket to be able to move. So positives and negatives, again, we'll be keeping the eyes on it. And the final one there is changes to the landlord database. Some people might not know about this, but there is a database of what we would call rogue landlords. The term of rogue landlords is someone that decides to sort of flout their obligations. So not abide by compliance standards or keep up to date with things that they're very much off the cuff. It's going to be accessible for agents, landlords, tenants, professional bodies, anyone who wants to be able to see that so that they can keep on top of it. That is what's going to happen. There is also slight talks of getting landlords to jump in with a redress scheme just to make sure that everyone is brought up to that similar standard across the country, which is good. Big believer in looking after your tenants, looking after your landlords alike. It all rolls one after the other. So Renters Reform Bill, there's no actual specific date on that one, but 2022 is, as I say, gathering pace. We will be keeping a close eye on it here on ERE, so keep your eyes peeled. I will be doing more videos as more information comes out. And again, I would imagine that once this is all dispersed out to the public, we will do another webinar, as I'm sure there'll be a multiple amount of different questions, and I want to be able to answer them for you. So that's the Renters Reform Bill. We'll move straight into the increased interest rate. Now, the lowest interest rates, as you'll well know, have been around for a very long time. And just at the back end of last year, we saw a slight increase from 0.1% to 0.25%. Now, what normally happens is that once the banks do an interest increase, the mortgage rates do a bit of an increase. They're always pretty much hand in hand. So, what I would say is anyone that is looking to have or is due a remortgage anytime soon, probably right up to this year, I would say now is definitely the time to start speaking to your mortgage lenders or give us a call, because we have people that we can put you in touch with as well. Find out what the best rate that they can get you on, because now is the time to act. We can't ever guarantee, as you'll see here, no one can foresee what the bank will do. We can never guarantee it. But the reports that are coming out, they do suggest that it's looking more and more likely that a further increase could be out before summer, jumping it back up to 0.75%. Great in some respects, but as I said earlier, because it goes hand in hand with things such as the mortgages, it's important that landlords are ahead of that curve. We don't want you missing out. And then when you do speak to your mortgage lender, you're finding that your mortgage rates are sky high. So any questions on that, again, feel free, give me a call and I'll happily take you through it or point you in the direction of some independent advice. Green mortgages. So this ties in quite nicely with the EPC, which everyone will be aware of, energy performance certificates. Now, green mortgages are there to try and to boost landlords to interest in trying to bring their properties up from the current levels. So as you know, a couple of years back, it moved. Landlords have to be above an E or higher now in order to be able to get those properties rented out. In the future, that is looking to change. So actually from 2025, any new tenancies will need to be a C or above. Okay. 2028, all tenancies need to be a C or above. So the green mortgages, what certain banks are doing already. So you've got Nationwide, NatWest, Virgin, are some of the big ones that are already doing it. And I would fully imagine that a lot more lenders and a lot more banks and building societies will be on board with this as the months go by. What they're saying is they will give you cheaper rates on mortgages the higher that your EPC rating is. So it's there to try and help landlords push up and get it to a higher bracket so that they reap the rewards somewhere else. There is a government scheme going at the moment where they are trying to say by, I think it's UK 2050, net zero 2050 is the scheme. So they're trying to bring down carbon emissions within the UK by 2050. And these are things that they're looking at in order to be able to do that. So it's a really, really great thing to get behind. We can also advise work-wise. So if there is properties where you're thinking, Chris, I've got a multitude of work, I can talk to you about the specific caps. So currently it's about £3,500 cap. It is due to change from 3,500 to 10,000, anywhere between that bracket. So yeah, but green mortgages, as I say, it's there to really give landlords that chance to get ahead of the curve and try and reap the benefits from having lower mortgage rates. Just moving on to the next one. Here we go. So we briefly touched on it already. All right, to be legally rented out needs to be an E or higher, as we all know currently, because it's been in for a good while. it goes as well with what the tenants are having to deal with energy price cap. That's now been announced. That got announced this month. It'll be in play from April. So be aware of that. We'll probably do another video on that, I would imagine, early next month, just for tenants and landlords alike to keep up to date with that bit. As I say, really important now that we are pushing landlords. We are saying to a lot of our investors and people that are with us already, why don't we start looking at your EPC, on the EPC towards the bottom part of that. It does suggest what you can do in order to bring your rating higher. So we are already speaking to people and saying, why don't we look at doing this and doing that to be able to bring it up. Again, it bodes really well. It bodes really well for all the clients. So that's what we're pushing for currently. Changes to the right to rent checks. Right to rent checks are massive, and they have been periodically. They've been in there ever since I've been in lettings, and it is extremely important. It's really important for the landlords and for the tenants, but to know who's in that property. Are they a legal tenant? Can they be there physically? So previous to COVID, we used to always have to be able to check passports, proof of addresses, driving licenses, those sort of documents, and be able to verify them with the client to say, yes, we have checked that. Yes, they are who they say they are. And then it would go through referencing, which is, again, fairly stringent, but there to protect everyone involved. With COVID being in play, various things had to change to make people safe. So we had to take on an approach of doing videos or accepting photos and photocopies of licenses, passports, things like that. So things are now actually shifting back. We are looking from the 6th of April, as it says there, for April, that, like it says there, that we are going to be going back to having to check physical copies. So citizens from the EU, the EEA and Switzerland, they can provide it via their national identity card. There's also a code, a QR code that you can scan, which tells us pretty much everything that we need to know. Now, the government are working on a digital process for everyone to be able to do that. So not just one sort of specific area, just for ease. And I think that it's a real good way to go. We want to make life as easy as possible whilst keeping everyone safe and compliant. So that's back in play now, where we are going to be checking our tenants' details physically. We are already doing it in our offices because we want to be, again, ahead of the curve. We don't want it to just be click of a fingers and then need to change. So landlords can rest assured that right to rent checks here at ERE are being done thoroughly. But if there is any questions about that, you can always give me a call. Now, there are many other legislation changes that are coming up this year that we haven't touched on. And again, this is because we don't want to overload people with information. We can send you this PowerPoint just so you've got it as well if you ever do need it. There are other things such as pet-friendly tenancies. So landlords not being able to put a blanket ban on any pets unless there is real severe reasoning. That is something that they are looking at doing, including landlords and agents not being able to charge tenants for things such as insurances or pet insurances. Carbon monoxide alarms, that's been a big one for me. Again, we know anything that has a solid fuel burning appliance needs a carbon monoxide alarm in the room, but there is going to be more sort of severe legislation coming out on that. So anyone who does have log burners or fires, open fires, feel free, again, get in touch. We can give you a bit more advice, free advice, about what to do and how best to combat what's coming over the next year. There is changes in Wales as well coming up this year. I think they're actually changing their notice periods. We obviously don't do too much in Wales, but I do like to try and keep a bit of an all-round aspect on lettings in general. So any questions about any properties anywhere, feel free to just get in touch, and I would love to have a chat with you about that. So here we go. So Andrew, you've just put a question in for me here just before I go to, well, in fact, do you have any questions? So it ties up quite perfectly, Andrew. Any incentive to go above the EPC E, i.e. is a lower mortgage if EPC is A, B or C compared to C? I think that it's a very good question, Andrew. It's a really good question. I think the biggest thing is going to be, it's going to be based on the building society and the bank. The mortgage lender that you will speak to, or if you have someone, or if you don't, have a chat with me and I'll point you in the right direction. Ultimately, what they will do is they will speak to a multitude of different lenders, and they will find out for you, right? If my client, let's say Andrew, wants to remortgage with you and he wants to bring his EPC up to a C or higher, what are his incentives to go to each bracket? And I think each company will have a different take on it. So as I say, for us, we're not tied to one bank or one building society. We like to open it up to be able to get the best result for the client. And what that does in turn is it gives you a bit more of an overview of, right, well, that bank would suit me better. The interest rate would be lower if I can get it to a B. So how much do I need to spend in order to get it there? Is it worth it? And that's what we'll talk to you about. So great question, Andrew. And I think actually we might have spoken before, so I will be able to pop you a bit more information on that via email. And I think it will be quite important to see what the banks and building societies have to say on it. So I'll definitely keep you up to date on that front. As it says here, we were supposed to have Q&A towards the end, but as I say, there's a lot of information there to take in. We don't want to overload anyone. So if there is any questions from this, you're welcome, Andrew, just seeing that there. Any questions that do come through on this, please do. You've got the WhatsApp number should be on there for me, an email address, a phone number, whatever is going to be the best contact method for you. Get in touch and I'll arrange a call and we can have a conversation and go from there. And then thank you very much. So it's a regular thing that we do here. It is a regular thing that we do. Every single month it will come out. So the marketing team will update you as to when the next one will be and what it will be on. We'd love to see more and more people on this just to be able to interact and build great relationships going forward. Please do follow us on social media. We are always putting out more videos and more posts. And as I say, with the more changes that come throughout this year, I'll be on there. You might get a little tired of seeing my face, but we will be putting out more and more important updates for you to keep up to date with. Really appreciate everyone that's had a chance to jump on the webinar today. And if there is anything else, feel free to get in touch. Many thanks.